Hey, it's Haplin, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to turn an automated swag store into a lead generation machine. So if we check out my screen, I am currently in a sub account that has the automated swag store fulfillment snapshot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to sites and then stores. We'll see there is the store template. And if I go ahead and preview the products list, what we should see is that after a few seconds, there is a pop-up that invites me to leave some contact information. Okay, and there it is. So there's a little pop-up, want 15% off your order. Let us know where to send your 15% off coupon. Just name, email, and phone number, consent to receive marketing, and you submit, and there you go. So how do we make this form really work? In order to take a closer look, let's edit this page and see how the pop-up really operates. The way that goes is once the page loads, which will take just a second here, up in the top left-hand corner, we can click pop-up settings, and this is how that looks right here. We have elements. This is just normal page stuff, but then here is actually a form. This element is a form, and if we want to check out the form itself, we can click edit form, which will take us outside of the page builder altogether and into the form builder, which is actually a separate feature. If you want to know how to get to the form builder from the main interface, it's also in sites, but it's just over here in forms. So we click builder and we can see we have this lead generation form included in the snapshot. There are so many different ways to get leads and contacts into a high-level sub account, but this is just one of them, and it syncs up really well with the automated swag store idea. We just have the form pop up and try to incentivize all our website users to trade their contact information for some goodie, like in this case 15% off. Now I've just used 15% off as kind of a boilerplate, should apply to most circumstances, pretty straightforward idea, but you can use whatever you want. That's a pretty soft system right there in terms of what your actual offer is in order to try to incentivize people to leave their contact information, but the tech is going to work the same no matter what. First of all, let's make sure we understand our pop-up settings and how we make sure that the pop-up shows the way that it did in my demo just now. If we click pop-up settings, this is how we can show pop-up on. This field right here is how we make sure that it shows up. So I set it to a delay of 8 seconds. We could actually, I think, maybe tone that down to like 4 might be the right idea. Now, if people don't want this, it's super easy. They just click the X and the pop-up goes away and they can continue shopping like normal. It's kind of no harm, no foul. But if they do, then they'll be prompted to. Everyone will get eyeballs on this. The pop-up shows up automatically. All right, so the next most important thing to understand is what's actually going to happen when somebody fills out the form. What are the operations? How do we actually give them the 15% off? What's the whole setup like? Well, first of all, let's make sure we go to pop-up settings, click on the form, and just note the button actions. We can override and set any button action we want. If we add a custom thank you page or something like that, we could do website URLs so that when they hit submit, they will go to that website. But for now, we're just going to keep the action from the form builder. And then if we go over into the form builder, we can click the styles and options, head over to options, click on submit, and we can see what message shows up. So right now it's just set to message. Again, we could have different actions if we want, but right now it's just a message. So somebody fills out this form, it's just going to show them the message. It says check your inbox for your code. You may close this window, thanks. You can change this to whatever you want, have it say whatever you want, but ultimately we want them to be prompted to check their email, check their phone for some nurturing and for a follow-up with the code. That obviously begs the question, how does this code work? How does it send? How do I change that? How do I update it? How do I make sure that it's working? I'll show you that right now. Back in the sub account, let's go to automation, and we can see we have this automation, Swag Store Fast 5. That is the one that is going to correspond to this form. We can see it triggers based on the form submission, so now it's starting to make sense. They fill out that form, it triggers this workflow, so we can see the whole infrastructure of the system really coming together here. And now the rest of this is just understanding the actions. First off, create opportunity. We have a little pipeline for the Swag Store snapshot called Swag Store Pipeline, and we have a stage called opt-in, so it makes sense. We just generate this one in the opt-in stage. Every time someone fills out the form, they have a new opportunity generated. This is great just to give you another way by which you can track how many of these people have actually signed up for the thing. And then we get straight into email nurturing. We, of course, are going to send the lead their 15% off coupon, and we actually have an email template that we're referencing. If we want to take a closer look, we can click edit, or if you want to see that from the main UI, just head to marketing, and then emails, templates, and we have our templates right here. So let's just check out the 15% off offer claim confirmation email. This pulls up the email builder, and you can change any of this obviously at any point. But the main kind of mechanism is that it's telling them to put in 15 off OFF during checkout in order to get their discount. And then of course there's a link to the swag store. Obviously you may want to change color schemes and the logo up top, so there's some of these customizations are mandatory, but you can do as much or as little as you see fit. Okay, so now before we get to the next step, let's just look at the rest of that nurturing because it's pretty easy and straightforward. We just wait for 6 seconds, a tenth of a minute, and then we send an SMS follow-up as well, which just tells them their code and invites them to ask us if they have any questions. Now, you can build this out to be more complicated if you want. Just for example, we could add something like another wait step here, but rather than have it just be for a time delay, we could have it be for a condition in the CRM, which means we need to correspond to some contact details. So say I have another workflow that updates the opportunity stage and adds a tag every time the person actually buys. In fact, let's go crazy and actually just build that out right now. Back to workflows, create a workflow, start from scratch. I'm gonna call it 1.2 checkout, and for add trigger, let's do order submitted. And we could add a filter if we wanted to make sure that we know the source is from a store. All right, so now every time someone checks out on the store, it's going to fire this workflow, and what we could do is update the opportunity. Let's create update opportunity, move them from the opt-in to the checkout page. Makes a lot of sense. Let's also just call them 1 for the fun of it. And now let's also, while we're here, let's go ahead and add the tag. So I'm gonna add a new tag just called swag store checkout. Let's go ahead and add that. So now every time there's a checkout, it's gonna add that tag. I will publish and save this. And now let's head back. By the time you're watching this video, this will probably just be included in the snapshot, so you don't even have to worry about making that. Makes a ton of sense that we would have that in there anyways. But now the really cool fireworks are that we can check to see if they have that tag or not. So I'm going to add my wait step. I'm going to have it wait for a CRM condition, and that condition is going to be tag. I'll select the swag store checkout tag and click save action. And now it is waiting to see if that tag is included or not. We can set a timeout so that if it gets to a certain amount of time and they don't have that tag yet, we move on. So for example, let's just set this to 1 day. And now what's gonna happen is that if they do have the tag added, and remember, they have the tag added when they buy something, so when they check out. If they purchase something in the swag store, they'll get that tag added to them. They'll go down the left-hand side, and for example here, we could just do nothing. But here's the real kicker. If they go down the right-hand side, that is, if a day passes and they have not checked out yet, that tag will not have been added. They will go down the right side. We can send another SMS. So now, only for the people who don't take action, only for the people who never check out, they will get a specifically targeted SMS saying, hey, contact first name, just checking to see if you're still planning on using your coupon from location name. This is an example of workflows and the power of automation and how we can set up these conditions so that we dial in messages only for the specific people we want receiving them. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this, and then the last thing we really have to address here is how to make sure that when they put in the 15 off coupon code that they actually get their discount. There's a whole mechanism to that that'll show you how that works. It lives over in payments. So we click back to workflows and then payments. So on the payments page, we can head over to coupons, and we can see here that we have this 15% off. Your account may not have this, so I'm gonna show you how to build it really quick. We're just gonna do create coupon, call it whatever you like, For congruence, I will call it 15. And then the coupon code obviously needs to be congruent. This needs to be the thing that you tell them to put in. So you would put 15 off here. Then the coupon type, we have percentage coupon or fixed coupon. We're going to go with percentage for this, and it's going to be a 15% discount. Next, we can dial in the time frame for the coupon validity. We have to have a start date, but you could just put today's date, and then you don't have to have an end date. It can run on indefinitely into the future until you delete it. And then we have some additional customizability. Limit the total number of times this coupon can be redeemed. If we had like, this coupon is available for the first 10 people who take advantage of it, we could set this to 10. Obviously, for an evergreen 15% off coupon for joining a mailing list, we don't want to limit the number of times. We want to maximize. We want everybody filling this out. We want to give that discount to everyone. Limit this coupon to selected products and offers. If you wanted to make sure that you didn't apply the discount to certain items that are maybe lower margin or something like that, you could dial that in here. This one is really important. Limit to 1 use per customer. We do want to make sure this is checked on. We don't want to be giving somebody 15% off every single time they shop for the rest of their life. We want it kind of off their first order, right? It's 15% off your first order, and then future orders, they'll pay 100% of the ticket price. Applying to recurring and future payments if applicable. This is not really applicable. None of our swag store items are going to be subscription items, but good to know in the future in case you ever do sell a subscription item, access to a digital community or course access or some kind of membership or something like that, and you do a coupon for that. Do you want to continue to give the discount to every single month or every installment of that payment, or do you want to just apply the discount to the first installment? For our use case here in the swag store, it doesn't really matter. We could have this on or off, but at any rate, we hit create, and then we will have our 15% off coupon. And that's that. As I said earlier, there are so many different ways to use High Level to generate leads, but if you already have a swag store set up for your client, this is kind of a no-brainer next step to incentivize people to join a mailing list. Any e-com store you've ever been on is probably incentivize you with something like 10 or 15% off. So now you know how to do that inside of High Level with the swag store. You have everything that you need. You can go ahead and move on to the next module.